India and its politics. A very complex and different ball game altogether than what's about Western politics and the rest. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, that the nuclear deal with India is actually a lollipop for the Indian government. Now, why did I say that? As I mentioned in my previous video, that American government has always supported Pakistan, even though it was always well aware that Pakistan is using American aid against India in the form of terrorism. But still, America supported Pakistan. But now suddenly, America has found a new love with India. Reasons are simple. With nearly a 1.5 billion market share, India is the biggest market in itself for America and its business products. Again, it's the American businessmen which are at the forefront between the improving relations between India and America. Now, what's happening with the nuclear deal is, as an Indian consumer, I would have been better off buying cheaper gas that I use for cooking than having nuclear fuel for the nuclear reactors. Now, it's true that Indian nuclear reactors were running short on fuel and they needed nuclear fuel, and the nuclear deal will help India in that respect. But the thing is, why did the nuclear deal take so long to be formulated in America in the first place? And now, why is it taking so long for India to ratify the same in its parliament? The reasons are simple. America wanted to break India away from Iran to save the Western oil lobby interests, but it didn't want to give India too much. So the nuclear deal had to be framed in a way in which American interests will still be protected. And because the nuclear deal is still too much in favor of American interests, and I'm sure it has got some sort of tricky lines in between which are not in favor of Indian nuclear program, especially with the weapons program and other stuff. That's why Indian government is finding it hard to get it ratified from the Indian opposition. Now, it may have finally been ratified, but that's the whole story about the nuclear deal and why it was offered to India. Now, the Indian government, which is being led by Congress at the moment, it needed the nuclear deal for the next elections. So when the next elections come, they can override the more important issues like development and unemployment and just go to the public and claim that, look, we have improved the relations with America, we have got us a nuclear deal, and they can win the next elections. It's all for the next elections. And it's not just the nuclear deal which the Indian government has done to please the American business lobby. In fact, they have done a bigger thing for the Western oil lobby. I should stop saying American lobby, because it's not just the American lobby which is involved in this whole situation. It's the entire Western oil lobby which is involved as well. Now, what's happened is, Indian government has withdrawn the subsidies on petrol and diesel prices. Now, how does that affect the ordinary man, and how does it affect the Western gas and oil companies? Now, considering the big population India is, and considering the number of vehicles that are on road in India, even an increase of 1 rupee in price of oil per liter, it means billions of dollars for the oil and gas companies. Now, what was with the subsidy is that say Indian government, the oil was costing 57 rupees per liter for the Indian government, but because it was providing, say, a subsidy of 2 rupees on the price of oil, the same oil was costing to the consumer at 55 rupees. So basically, you can say that the Indian government was using money from its budget to pay the oil prices just to support its common public. But by withdrawing the same subsidy, the same 2 rupees per liter will be saved, which will be billions of rupees. Considering the size of Indian population and the number of vehicles on road in India, it's billions of rupees that will be saved for the Indian government, which will be used for other projects, which sounds good, but the truth is that whenever there's a project in India, there's always corruption involved, and a lot of money is siphoned off as black money into foreign accounts. Just take the example of recently concluded Commonwealth Games and what a mess was made in it, and at the back of it, it's all corruption. And that's where all the money that is going to be saved by cutting back the subsidies is gonna go. It's all gonna end up as black money. While the two rupees that any ordinary man in India is paying for the oil, the same 2 rupees are going to go into the coffers of you know who, Western oil and gas companies. And what will the Indian government get out of it? Indian government will not get anything out of it, but the politicians definitely will. They will get money for the next election campaigns. The money that will be saved in the budget, there will be corruption in the projects that will be started with that money, and of course the oil and gas companies will be paying some sort of kickbacks to the people involved. As an Indian, as a person who was born and brought up in India, I know that is what is going to be happen, and that's the truth of Indian politics. In fact, even though I may have accepted Australian citizenship now, but I somehow feel really sad at the way things are in Indian politics, and I sometimes wonder that maybe we don't deserve democracy. It should be aristocracy in India. We love to be slaves. We don't deserve democracy. I think we should just simply make Sonia Gandhi the Queen of India, declare her son Rahul Gandhi the heir apparent, and after Sonia Gandhi, we should elevate Rahul Gandhi to the position of King of India, and his son or daughter should be declared the heir apparent. Well, if they are going to rule India anyway, why go to the lengthy extent of conducting such costly elections every 5 years? Why not just simply save the money that will be spent over there? And of course, save enormous harassment to the people of India every time elections happen. Especially the government employees who sometimes risk their own well-being and lives conducting those elections when they are forced to do so. Teachers and people from electricity boards. We don't deserve democracy. That's the hard truth. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video, guys.